Welcome to Unit 3. Elements and Principles of Art. The previous discussions have introduced the elements, fusions and other overlapping and interrelated elements of art in general. In this particular lesson, the principles of design will be discussed. At the end of the lesson, the learners are expected to create an artwork depicting the various principles of design. Let us start. In creating arts, artists use elements to create an effect and help to show what the artist wants to convey. An artist's intention can be represented through their principles. Principles of design is describing the ways in which the elements of an artwork are organized and arranged in a variety of effects. However, the principles of design are not absolute laws. An artist may or may not use these principles. These are just merely guide to make a wide range of effect on an artwork. The principles of design. Unity. It is also called as harmony. It is one of the most important principles of design. Unity in art means the blending or combining of similar elements to create a feeling of completeness. For an instance, an artwork is unified if it uses similar colors, shapes, lines, etc. This can be achieved through repeating of similar elements. However, too much unity in art is monotonous, dull and boring. One example of art with unity are style art such as Victory, Boogie Woogie by Pete Mondrian. This is an abstract art that has unity on it because of its similar shapes, squares and rectangles, and repetition of colors, yellow, red and blue, which is a complete description of any style arts. Next is rhythm. Rhythm in art is created by an implied movement through the repetition of elements that would make a work seem active. It creates a feeling of movement in the viewer's eye around and within the image. It is similar to the rhythm in music, but instead of notes and sounds, it uses the different elements of visual art such as line, shapes, colors, etc. Such examples are the famous Van Gogh's painting The Starry Night and Man Walking by Étienne Jules Marais. 10 swirling stars are seen in Van Gogh's painting while Marais shows a man's legs. Thus, both paintings convey a feeling of movement. We also have variety. Variety is another important principle of design and the opposite of unity. It refers to the arrangement and/or combining of one or more different elements. It is done through opposing or contrasting elements to achieve visual interest and energy. However, it should be noted that variety should be combined with unity, as too much of it would become too chaotic and overwhelming. An example of that is the work of Vasily Kandinsky Farbstudy Quadrat, Color Study of Squares, where it portrays not just unity due to its similar elements, shapes, but also combined with variety on the color. Next is balance. Balance in art refers to the feeling of visual equilibrium of the elements. It is a sense that a visual art feels stable and right. There are several kinds of balance such as symmetrical balance, asymmetrical balance, radial balance, symmetrical balance. This kind of balance is also called as formal balance. It is like a mirror image or the two sides of a face. This is where both sides of an artwork have the same elements or image in both opposite position. An example of an art with symmetrical balance is Georgia O'Keeffe, Oriental Poppies and Leonardo da Vinci's famous Vitruvian Man. These artworks may be a mirror image, an exact copy of the other side, or it may be approximate, with the two sides having slight variations but being quite similar. Asymmetrical balance. This kind of balance is also known as felt balance. The artwork is balanced due to the contrast of any elements. The two sides of a composition are not the same but appear to have an equal visual weight nonetheless. Arrangement in Gray and Black No. 1 by James Abbott McNeill Whistler is a famous example of an artwork that portrays asymmetrical balance. Observe the image in front. He balances the heavy figure on the right with a dark curtain on the left. Radial balance. This kind of balance arranges the forms and objects in a circular way. The elements are equally spaced around a central point, just like a ripple in a pond when a stone was dropped. An example of this are the rose window, which are commonly found in the Gothic cathedrals and churches during the 17th century. Look at the following examples. Have you seen one of this in real life? We also have proportion. Proportion refers to the relationship between the various elements of an artwork. When two or more elements are put together, a relationship is created, thus making it harmonious. It does not refer to the overall size of the image in an artwork. Proportion helps give a piece of art balance. It is used to create sensations such as depth, realism, and drama. One example of art that conveys proportion in Botero's Dancing in Colombia in 1980. His signature style includes very smooth and bold images of oversized people such as the huge musicians, smaller dancers, and huge jukebox. Another one is emphasis and subordination. Emphasis and subordination are two inseparable principles of design. Emphasis refers to the area of an artwork that dominates attention or draws interest. It is often the place a viewer looks first. Artists can create emphasis in art through contrasting the elements such as color, making the size of the image smaller or bigger, or isolating the image from other objects in an artwork. An example by Artemisia Gentileschi, Judith Slaying Holofernes emphasizes the images through the contrast of colors and its value. On the other hand, subordination is the toning down of the other elements so that other images are emphasized. In other words, these are the objects in an artwork that are given less importance by the eyes. The works of Alexander Calder Saucer skirting a planet emphasizes the image through its color. The last principle is the rule of thirds. Rule of thirds is a well-known term in photography, a kind of visual art. However, this is more of a guide than a rule. The basic principle behind the rule of third is to imagine breaking an image down into thirds, both horizontally and vertically. The 4 green dots are considered places to position the image. According to Rose in 2006, the placing of the image on the intersections makes the artwork more balanced and will enable a viewer to interact with it more naturally. One example or artwork that uses the rule of thirds is the painting of Johannes Vermeer, A Maid Asleep. It can be noticed that the lady's head was lined on the upper horizontal line, the jug is aligned on the lower horizontal line, and the iron door is also on the dissecting lines. Notice the picture in front. In this lesson, we have discussed about the principles of design. That is end of Unit 3, Lesson 3. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.